Liz, 700 federal immigration agents will immediately withdraw from Minneapolis, Tom Homan says, after he reached an agreement with state and local officials to have county jails notify ICE before criminal aliens are released back into the streets. He says it will allow ICE to pick up these targets while they are still in custody rather than having to send agents into communities to find them after they've been released into the streets. Homan noted this agreement does not force local authorities to do federal immigration enforcement or keep aliens 1 minute past their scheduled release. He said it will also reduce recidivism so local police can dedicate their resources to public safety.
This is efficient, requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. It's safer for the community, safer for the officers, and safer for the alien.
Homan says nobody is getting a pass. Anyone in the country illegally is still subject to deportation, but the surge is focused on criminal aliens, which represent the biggest threat. So far, ICE removed 14 criminal aliens with homicide convictions, 129 with sexual-related offenses, and 28 gang members. 2,000 federal agents will remain after the 700 withdraw. Returning to the normal levels of about 150, Homan said, depends on continued cooperation between state and local officials and the decrease of attacks on federal officers. He reiterated peaceful protest is welcome, but impeding enforcement is against the law. Doxing agents is shameful, and the local police are working to dismantle roadblocks set up by protesters. As a result of the negotiation, all federal agents will also begin using body cameras, with plans to implement this new policy nationwide. Now, Homan said the president still plans to effectuate mass deportations, but 350,000 Haitians whose legal status was set to expire tomorrow effectively just got an extension from a judge who blocked the Trump administration's efforts to end their Biden-era temporary protected status that would have opened them up to deportation. The judge, in a scathing opinion, cited what she called DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's likely hostility toward immigrants. Liz.
Great reporting. Thank you so very much, Jackie Heinrich. We appreciate you. Now listen to this.
We currently have an unprecedented number of counties communicating with us now and allowing ICE to take custody of illegal aliens before they hit the streets. Unprecedented cooperation. And I'll say it again. This is efficient, requires only 1 or 2 officers to assume custody of a criminal alien target rather than 8 or 10 officers going into the community and arresting that public safety threat. This frees up more officers to arrest or remove criminal aliens. More officers taking custody of criminal aliens directly from the jails means less officers on the street doing criminal operations.
That was Tom Homan with the big news today that counties in Minnesota will now let ICE into county jails to arrest and deport criminal illegals. Minnesota Democrats like Keith Ellison, Tim Walz have been blocking ICE doing that. They're accused of inciting riots on the street. Joining us now from House Judiciary, Texas Congressman Wesley Hunt. Congressman, we love having you back on the show. Why did Democrats block this? This is common sense. It stops the street rioting. Now we're hearing 4,000 criminal illegal aliens caught in Minnesota. The fraud scandal has ballooned to $30 billion in Minnesota. So what is going on with these Democrats now finally getting common sense and letting ICE into the jails?
So let me get this straight. You have somebody that broke federal law by entering this country illegally, and then they harmed and or maimed an American citizen. They got put in prison, and so they're here illegally. They are in prison, and who's paying for this? The American taxpayer is paying for somebody who is illegal that is in prison, and then now we want to go to prison and make sure that they go back to their country of origin. That is simple, common sense. What I have discovered in this world is that, especially in terms of Democrats and liberals, is that common sense is simply not so common. They should have been cooperating with this administration from the very beginning. And I always harken back to the Obama days. President Obama deported far more people than President Trump. And who did he use? He used ICE, but yet nobody did anything and no one said anything because he was a Democrat. And so now that we have the Trump administration in office, now you want to fight this administration tooth and nail in order to score some political points going into the midterm election. So again, I'm glad they are finally coming around to this idea of going into jails and getting illegal immigrants out of prison to stop maiming and harming our fellow Americans. But this should have happened from the very beginning.
Your point's well taken. Under Obama, ICE was allowed into jails. Let's get you updated. Let's get the viewer updated on what's going on in Seattle. Congressman, Socialist Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson igniting a backlash. She's telling the Seattle Police Department to investigate and document and track ICE activity. But the president of the Seattle Police Union says he's not telling his police officers to do that. Instead, he's saying this is, quote, toothless virtue signaling rhetoric. It's already cost 2 people their lives. The concept of pitting armed law enforcement agencies against each other is ludicrous, will not happen, will not allow police union members to be used as political pawns. What do you make of this? Because now in New York, in a new Siena poll, 43% of New Yorkers say deport illegal immigrants.
Well, this is a direct violation of the Supremacy Clause, and if you're here illegally, you broke federal law, and it is up to the federal government to remove you and send you back to your country of origin. And so if you are a blue state and a leader in a blue state and you don't want to comply with the federal government, then that means you too are actually, as a leader, breaking the law. And also, you don't go after the people that are enforcing the law. If you don't like what happened, then next time win the next election. But President Trump was given a mandate. 77 million people voted for him. He won the Electoral College vote. He won every single swing vote. And the number one issue in this country was what? Illegal immigrants. We cannot allow the tail to wag the dog. We are in charge, and it's time to ensure that we enforce the laws on the books in this country, and that goes for blue and red states. We aren't having this problem in red states because we are complying with federal law and with federal law enforcement officers, and Democrat blue states should do the exact same.
When you enforce the law, it saves lives. Congressman